So this is just an overview of this geometry calculator. And so what you have here is you have a sprite, in this case just a cat. It doesn't do very much except give the outputs, and so it'll say things and prompt the user for different pieces of information. And so the starting event is the green flag being clicked, and then they'll say welcome to my calculator, and then click on surface area or volume. So all of these are buttons and they have to be clicked on in order for the program to progress. The only one that works is surface area and volume for a cylinder. You'll have to complete cone and sphere to complete it, to have all the components. So if you click on this to show how it works, welcome to my calculator, and then click on surface area or volume below. So if I click on surface area, and now I click on a cylinder, I'm going to be prompted for a radius. Let's put in 3. And then a height, let's put in 5, and then it gives me a surface area. And I can click on the green flag to do it again and go through different pieces. And so what's really happening behind the scenes is if we click on the surface area sprite, let me stop this, surface area sprite, if we click, down here on surface area, and we'll see the code for that. When that is clicked, it sets the surface area variable to true and volume to false. So that just tells us that we're actually looking at surface area, not volume. And then it asks us to click on the shape below. So this doesn't do very much. Now when we look at cylinder, then it looks like there's a lot of code there. And what's happening is it asks for the radius, and then it sets a variable cylinder radius to the answer that comes in, and it asks for a height, and it sets the cylinder height to the answer that comes in. So those two answers that came up, those were stored as variables. And then what it says is, I have a cylinder, that's what we've clicked on. If surface area is true, then I have to figure out the surface area, and that's this mess. If volume is true, then I have to figure out the volume, and that's this mess. So this looks maybe overly complicated, but really what it is, if we were to draw a picture and look at it, is this picture. So we have, if we take a cylinder, so here's a cylinder, and we're talking about the surface area. Well, let's say that this is the radius and this is the height, and if we take that and unwrap it and make what's called a net, so we unwrap it, there's the height, and I have a circle up here and I have a circle down here. And what we're missing is, for my circles, if that's the radius, it's the radius, that is pi r squared, and the area of that is pi r squared. And then this piece, well, that wrapped all the way around the circle, which means that has to be all the way around the circle as well, that piece of my rectangle. All the way around the circle is called the circumference, which is 2 pi r. So the area of that thing is 2 pi r base times height, 2 pi r times h. Now, all of that stuff is in this formula. And so you can see down here, I have 2 times the radius times pi. Okay, that is this piece here, so 2 pi r, and then times the cylinder height. The cylinder height is that piece there. So that's that rectangle, and then the other ones are even easier to see. I have, let me erase some stuff. In here, I have pi, so there's pi times 2, so 2 pi, radius squared is radius times radius. So all of that stuff is in that formula, and that looks like the most complicated piece, but it's math that you've seen before, and so it shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so what you need to do to finish this is as follows. So there is code for this button for a cylinder. So there's code here that you can use. There is no code for the cone, there is no code for the sphere. There's code for the volume, and there's code for the surface area. So what you have to do is complete the code for the cone and the sphere. And one those formulas. So if you don't remember them, for a cone, right? So a cone looks like this. It has a radius. It has two heights. It has this height here, which is our normal height, and then it also has a height along the edge that we call the slant height, or L. And so if we're to unwrap this, we get a sector and a circle. And so the area of the circle is pi r squared. That's part of your surface area. The area of the sector is pi r L, where L is the slant height. So adding both of those together gives you the surface area. Now the volume for a cone is 1/3 the base area times the height, where the base area is a circle. So it's 1/3 pi r squared times the height. So you need to put that code into the code for the cone. If we look at the sphere, okay, so again for the sphere, if we're doing this, we have the surface area is 4 pi r squared, so 4 circles, and then the volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. This one is actually the easiest to figure out, or code, because you only need one piece of information. You just need the radius. So you'll prompt a user for a radius and store it and go from there. So again, what you can do is look heavily at how things work with the cylinder, how that code works. You can use a lot of that code as you go back and forth. Again, pay attention to the color coding. Everything green can be found under the operators, the orange is under the data, and so you can make these work